Well, where do we start? There's a couple things that I literally would have put money on never happening that we could start with. Maybe the nothing Sunbird RCS thing is
right. That's a whole experience in itself.
Okay, let's start with that then.
Okay.
So we could go rewind a little bit to literally last week's episode when we were talking about the video that we made about nothing trying this weird thing, being this quirky, weird company, making an app that would bring iMessage to their newest phone.
Yeah, the Nothing Phone 2.
And the challenges that they would have with that, and obviously the reasons why they were going to try this crazy thing. Ultimately, what they were doing was branding or skinning an existing app called Sunbird, which was in beta and wasn't really publicly available. So they're bringing it to the public. But ultimately having a number of security concerns, as I mentioned in the video. Like you probably don't ever want to type your Apple credentials into a third-party service ever, probably, right? But, you know, it was an option, so it just was something that people should be aware of being available to them. No more than, I don't know, 5 days after that video. It probably like 3 days
even
after that video.
Yeah, it was very quick.
Yeah, very quickly. It gets all the attention in the world, and everyone's security concerns are rightfully brought to the forefront immediately. Like almost over the top of all of the top of, wow, iMessage for Android, huh? That's interesting. Like nobody was talking about that anymore. It was immediately like, this is kind of a hack. You should probably never use it. By the way, I didn't log in with my own credentials. I logged in with the studio account, so that one maybe maybe not in the best situation. But either way, immediately gets talked a lot about security, right? How many days later was it that Sunbird or Nothing Chats was removed from the Play Store over these security concerns? Yeah,
pretty much immediately, security researchers started ripping it apart, most notably from one of their competitors called Text.com. They have about Texts.com, which is owned by Automatic, which also owns WordPress and Tumblr. They had a bunch of security researchers just rip it apart, and they found a lot of really big problems that Sunbird was very shady about, was hiding a lot of stuff about. Things like they were using HTTP instead of HTTPS, which is like difficult to do nowadays.
Oh, how do you even get... Wow.
They were storing all the media and text in like plain text in a Firebase database. So it was really bad.
I kind of picture like the Nothing team and Carl watching this unfold like, oh, yeah, it could have totally gone. We could have seen this coming a mile away. Like this is not a great look.
I feel like Nothing really should have done their due diligence here and like had their own security team, especially because Nothing put their name on it. In their video, they said we made an iMessage on Android app, which they didn't.
And they helped bring one to market. Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So that happened.
Yeah, they pulled it immediately
from the Play Store.
And then as an update, Sunbird, just today, Tuesday, day of recording, Sunbird also suspended their operations indefinitely until they can figure out a solution. I'm not sure that's ever going to happen because I feel like their name is pretty tainted at this point.
Yeah. So we went from Nothing launching a big collab with Sunbird that would be available to everybody soon, to it being removed from the Play Store, to Sunbird no longer existing as a company.
Sort of. Like they still exist, and they're just like ceasing all operations indefinitely.
Cool.
And I just want to point out the timeline here, right? So like we put out the Nothing Chats video on the 14th when they announced it. By the 17th, that's when they got shut down. The Nothing Chats thing got shut down. But on the 16th, the evening of November the 16th, on Thursday.
Yeah.
I'm just typing on my little computer.
This is one of those do you remember where you were moments.
Yes, it really is. I was typing at a bar. I was just like typing words, and I just see somebody posted in Slack this thing about RCS coming to the iPhone. The day before Nothing Chats was supposed to come out, by the way.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember where I was too.
Where were you?
So we were on the plane to Las Vegas for the F1 race, which we'll get to later. And I had just gotten my room key and headed up to my room. I had just unpacked and like took my stuff out my bag, put it down, and opened my laptop and logged into the Wi-Fi, and that's the first thing I saw.
Wow.
Like, Oh.
Dang.
So what we saw was the headlines or commentary about the news that the iPhone will be getting RCS support after all
next year
in 2024.
Yeah.
Now,
whoa,
we've been talking forever about the green bubble versus blue bubble thing, and I want to be very clear, that's not going away.
Yeah.
Like, that's definitely not going away. But what Google has been pushing so hard and what a lot of people have been asking for is like, today, when an Android phone and an iPhone message each other, it is a horrible experience on purpose. Apple has been just running it back through SMS and MMS. If I send you a picture, it compresses it down to, I don't know how many, 190 bytes, whatever it is. It looks like trash.
Yeah.
Videos get compressed to look like they were from the 1800s.
Yeah, in little rectangular box.
It's horrible. It's all unencrypted.
Yeah.
Like, it's a disaster. So, yeah, we wanted better support between Android phones and iPhones. So, Android phones, all new phones basically supporting RCS.
Yeah.
The iPhone gaining RCS support in 2024 means that, one, green bubbles will stay green, but they will now be RCS messages instead of SMS and MMS.
Yeah.
Which ideally, and correct me if I'm messing up some of these, but I think that means we're going to get read receipts.
Yep.
We're going to get typing indicators.
Yep.
We're going to get possibly reaction support.
Yeah.
And ideally higher quality media, so high resolution photos, high resolution videos, and I think sending them over the internet too.
Yeah.
So all of that is
Inline replies.
Yeah, inline replies, threads, all of that is much, much better. It still isn't iMessage, it's alongside iMessage on the iPhone.
Right.
But the last bit of it was it's still unencrypted.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, this is because the RCS universal profile that Apple is pledging to support, it doesn't have RCS built in. Or sorry, it doesn't have encryption built in. That was a Google add-on.
Yes, it's very weird. The universal profile that was built by the GSMA has all of those things like typing indicators and read receipts and all this stuff.
Yep.
But there's no encryption built in. And my assumption for that would be the fact...
I believe there is encryption. It's encrypted in transit. It's just not end-to-end encrypted.
Okay.
I've been trying so hard to figure out what that means. I can't.
But in the universal profile?
In the universal profile, it is. I don't know what it means. All the sources I read say encrypted in transit, but not end-to-end encrypted.
Interesting.
Please tweet at me and explain what that means.
Okay, well...
Good luck in a tweet.
For some reason, it was on the universal profile. I have a inkling that a lot of countries, specifically the EU, is like very against encryption in general, and they've been fighting against encryption for a long time. They've been trying to get people, companies like WhatsApp and all these other manufacturers to not have encryption in their apps because they want to be able to
like peek in the back door when needed.
Yeah, and so there's sort of been this weird power struggle between like Meta and the EU for a long period of time. The GSMA obviously covers a lot of the European Union, so like it's possible that when they were building the universal profile, they didn't build it in and just said in your given country or for your given device, you could do whatever you want, but we don't want to build it into the universal profile. I'm not sure. That's just the theory. But currently, Android phones that are using Google Messages use Google's proprietary end-to-end encryption standard.
Which builds in end-to-end encryption.
Right, which is why it took so long for like Google Messages to add group messages that had end-to-end encryption because they had to update their proprietary stuff.
Got it.
Yeah, so Apple doesn't want to use their stuff, obviously.
They don't want to use Google's thing.
Yeah.
So they're going to use the universal profile. I've heard that there's hopes that maybe they will be able to add on to the universal profile or maybe support encryption down the road. It would be nice. I don't think it's the top of everyone's priority list, but I do think it's still pretty important, considering MMS and SMS to this day, totally unencrypted. So that would be nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, just one of those things we never thought would happen.
Yeah.
Just sort of an out-of-the-blue press release. Not really too much of a statement from any of the notable Apple people. I don't think Tim Cook said anything about it.
No.
He was too busy getting interviewed.
A lot of people are like, nothing made Apple make this move. And no, it's not that, because the Thursday that they announced it was actually it was the last day that Apple had to make their case to the EU that they were not a core platform service for iMessage. So the EU they issued a bunch of gatekeepers. They said these companies are gatekeepers with these apps in these types of platforms. So they had messaging platforms, they had social media, they had all this. So TikTok was on there, Google was on there for various things. And iMessage got listed as a potential gatekeeper that over a long period of time they were going to issue an investigation into to determine whether or not they were gatekeepers. And Apple had until Thursday to make their case to the EU why they weren't gatekeepers. And so on the evening of the final day, the dawn of the final day, they go, we support RCS.
Yeah.
Of course we're not gatekeepers.
We're about to anyway.
Universal profile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think ships first? RCS on the iPhone or Vision Pro?
Vision Pro. Because Vision Pro is slated for potentially March.
Like spring.
Yeah. And RCS on the iPhone, I would guess, is iOS 18.
So maybe not till the next iPhone comes out.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where were you?
Where were you
when the news went down?
Yeah.
That's definitely the biggest news of the week.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
No, that was really interesting to me.
I want to discuss real quick. Do you think that the like green bubble, blue bubble thing is going to still be a problem? That's like a conversation that people are having around this right now.
Right.
Like, is it still going to be this like, oh, you don't have an iPhone, you're a blue bubble?
Yes.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. Apple will find many ways to make that persist because they know how strong that is. And like, there's still going to be a lot of features that iMessage does not support, with adding into, like if you text an Android phone, you still can't probably do lots of things like add them into a group chat or whatever else. Apple iMessage, you can't start a FaceTime from inside of it. There's lots of things like the games inside of iMessage that people play. All these things that they'll continue to add on. I think they're going to continue to add specific iMessage only features that aren't supported by RCS.
Yeah, they have the whole like iMessage store thing that you can like download sticker packs and
Apple Pay
stuff.
People in there and send your stickers and memojis and whatever. I remember watching WWDC, I think it was, and just thinking the entire time, every single feature that they're announcing inside of messages is not supported when you're texting an Android phone.
Totally.
It must be an iPhone. Like the dragging of the stickers around the chats and the starting a FaceTime from inside of it, everything, the link sharing, link previews, it was all just if you text your friend with an iPhone.
Yeah. I do wonder if they're going to let you do group chats with iPhones and Android phones, and it'll just make the group chat be green, but it'll still be RCS. So if it's RCS, then the experience isn't getting downgraded that much.
Hopefully.
So people wouldn't be that mad. I don't know.
Hopefully.
It's all a big unanswered question, but the fact that they announced they're doing it at all is like a major thing.
Yeah.
I did see a report that iOS 18 is apparently going to be like one of the biggest iOS updates they've done in recent years because the iPhone 16 is not going to be that different from the 15.
That's really funny.
So to sell more iPhones, they have to make the next iOS update feel big.
Which is funny because your old iPhone is just going to get the software update and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's funny. I am interested in that, though. I'm curious what they're going to be able to add. Maybe like checking off a box inside a widget. That would be super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Nothing Chats, RCS on iPhone, and Sunbird all in 1 week.
Yep.
Oh, I have a good clips outro.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for watching that clip. I just want you guys to all be aware that on my YouTube, I have started seeing the feature where if someone says the word subscribe, it glows in the player. Have you seen this?
I have not seen this. For the word subscribe.
If you just say the word subscribe in your video, the subscribe button subscribe.
Wait, like subscribe? Subscribe.
Yes. Now, I don't know if it's going to glow every time they say the word. What's the word again?
Subscribe.
Subscribe. I don't know if it's going to happen every time, but I have started to see it glow. And I think it's super cool.
So subscribe implies the existence of a scribe.
And thus the superscribe.
The superscribe.
Correct. None of which have buttons on the page. I'm sure that's being worked on.
Yeah. Subscribe seems like they should make a superscribe button.
That button does glow when you say it.
Subscribe.
So anyway, subscribe.